Today is Thursday, January 8th, 2026. This is the Golf Committee meeting, and I am now calling this committee meeting to order. It's approaching 1:30, so for those able, please stand and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, good afternoon to everyone. As I said, this is the Golf Committee meeting, and we've established quorum. We have 6 of our 7 committee members present, And I will now read the meeting procedures for the rec centers of Sun City West. The governing board and all its committees conduct all of their meetings in compliance with the Arizona Planned Community Association open meeting laws per ARS 33-1804 and in concert with the Recreation Centers Sun City West bylaws, policies, and standing rules. Parliamentary procedures as outlined in the most recent edition of Robert's Rules of Order will also be followed in all meetings as appropriate, consistent with our bylaw 3.07 and standing rules 2 and 3. In addition to that, this meeting is being live streamed and is being recorded. I would ask that everyone please silence cell phones and that the committee members remove their cell phones from the table as there might be interference with the microphones. Okay, thank you very much. First item of business will be approval of the minutes from our December 11th meeting. I had sent minutes to all the committee members last night, and they were posted at least a week ago on the website. Do I have any changes, corrections, or additions to the minutes as written? Okay, seeing none, they will be posted as written. Thank you. Our first report will be from our golf operation manager, Mr. Pat O'Hara.
All right, thank you. Good, Happy New Year, everyone. I've got a few slides here I'd like to share with everybody. Each month I've been given an update of our call center activity. We're finding that the calls through our center this last year have fluctuated, have gone up a little bit, and this last month they were 14% less than the previous December. Earlier in the year we had an uptick, but they're kind of trending a little bit down. We adjust our staff to accommodate those high points and low points, but the call center does a wonderful job for us. I wanted to give you a Green Team progress report. It's been very active the last 6-8 weeks since we've picked it up after overseeding. Green Team, a lot like group play, they're not scheduled during the overseeding time of the year, so we picked them up at the end of November. We're seeing big growth in rounds played, and they just reached a membership base of a little over 300 people. So Lynn Watt, and we've got Norm here. They do a wonderful job administrating this program. Overview of our schedule. It has been played and coming up for our special events. Next tournament is this Saturday, is our couples therapy. It's over at Stardust. We have it filled out, and hopefully it won't be too cold. We might have a frost delay, but we'll see how that goes. But we're looking forward to a couples scramble on Saturday. Here's a picture and results of our last tournament, which was our night golf. That was held over at Pebblebrook. We had 100 players, and you can see that some people showed up for the ugly sweater contest. So a good time was had for all. It was a very mild, pretty night to play night golf. List of upcoming events for January. Put all of the ones that we have scheduled for this month. You can see it, a wide variety of events, from ladies team play to Green Team Scramble event to a couple individual smaller groups coming out to play. And then I just wanted to share with everybody, we're not quite full with our job positions. We're looking for some starters, call center employee, as well as a data entry who does all the lottery input for us. And that's my report for the month of December in our January meeting.
Okay, thank you, Pat. Any committee questions?
Yeah, Pat, is it Galber, that group? Or I'm not saying it right, I'm sure.
Gebauer.
Gebauer, who
Yes.
is that?
That is one of our residents. Susan Gebauer passed away this last year, and a group of employees and residents who knew her, the family, quite well are putting together a small group, and they're having a little benefit, or not a benefit, but a little memorial golf tournament for her.
No other committee comments? Anyone? Yes, sir. Please come to the microphone and give us your name and rec card number. Thank you.
Michael?
Hi, my name is Michael Berg, 120549. I'm not sure if this is the right time to say this, but I was watching last month's meeting. Did I hear you say that we take in approximately $8,000 in golf lessons?
I don't know the time period, but.
It was at 52 minutes and 44 seconds in the video.
Okay.
I'm just gonna guess.
Sure. Any reference, if that was the number that was given, I'm sure it was.
Well, the
accurate.
number was actually in the 7,000s, but I'm just gonna use easier math.
Fair enough.
So if we take in approximately $8,000 in lessons, and it's $40 per lesson,
Correct.
that's about 200 lessons given. That doesn't seem like quite a lot. How many golf pros do we have here?
Currently, we have 3 teaching.
Okay, so that's a total of about 70 per person. That doesn't seem like a lot. I mean, I don't know what the salary is per pro, but it seems to me like we can find a better way to spend some money. You know, I know that we had an outside vendor before.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what the salaries are. What does a PJ Pro make in Sun City West? Approximately.
Approximately, they're making $50,000.
So for $50,000, we're only taking in $8,000 total, and they give 30% as a kickback.
They do.
So we're paying $50,000 to a pro. We're taking in $2,400. That doesn't seem like good mathematics. That's all.
Okay. So just to comment on that, the relationship that we have, for those of you that remember the Reed West Teaching Center, that we parted ways with Drew Reed and his crew, which is neither here nor there. One of the things that I wanted to get accomplished while I was involved with this was to get our golf pros, which at the time we had 3. We've had as many as 5, but we're 3 now that are teaching. We wanted to make sure that they had a relationship with the golfers that played. And one of the ways to do that is to let them teach. So in order to give the residents a great value at $40 for a lesson, we wanted also to make sure that the rec center found value with this too. We gave them 30% of the cut. So what's that, $27 for a lesson to the pro. So the relationships were created, which we think is just a great way to do it. But we also wanted to make sure that our dues, PGA dues, were covered through the 30% that we gave the rec center. So it wasn't a burden on the rec center for us to be here teaching.
Again, I'm just going to simple mathematics. If one pro is getting $50,000 in theory, and all of the pros, whether it be 3, 4, or 5, I think you said at one point it was 5. So if the 5 pros on 8,000 are giving back $2,400, where is the value? That's the first thing. And whether it be Reed West or anybody else as an outside vendor, from a financial point of view, they can build relationships as well with the resident.
Right.
You know, it just seems to me that we're always talking here about golf losing money or whatever the case may be.
Right.
There has to be a better way to spend money. You know, why are we spending $50,000 for a pro and the community is taking a total of $2,400?
Right. So are you, the point being is, why is there a PGA Pro here?
Well, my point is, in the, I don't have my notes, but I believe I said there were 4 teaching pros at that point.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Right.
Well, my whole thing is we can cut down a pro. There should be teaching pros.
Sure.
I have no problem with that.
Right.
But when you said at one point that there were either 4 or 5,
Or what?
well, cutting back 1 or 2, certainly if they're making $50,000, if you cut it back to 3, which you say we are now, you know, then it's a savings of $100,000 in payroll.
No.
No.
So that's misleading.
Okay.
The position still has to be filled. So in other words, and we can talk about the 3 golf pros that oversee our golf courses. We've got Paul Gruza and Nibi Musso and John Smith. All of them are very experienced golf pros. Regardless if that position was filled, that price level or that salary level is still for that position, whether they're PGA or not.
Well, when I first moved here, hold on a second, I believe his name was Pete who ran Pebblebrook.
Pete Roberto.
Okay, and there was, I believe, a Keith who ran Trail Ridge. My point is there could be people running these pro shops for a whole lot less than the $50,000, and the community could still take in that same
Yeah.
30% of $2,400.
No, okay, so I see where you're trying to go with this.
My whole thing is cutting payroll.
Yeah, no. What we're getting out of these PGA pros is a great value because they're full-time employees. If you do recall, all of my managers were part-time at one time.
Okay,
So I've got a 70-hour a week operation being managed by a 20-hour a week employee. It doesn't do it service. So that's why you're seeing the trends that we have over the last 12 or 14 years of our revenues going from $7.4 million in total golf revenue to over $12.5 million.
Well-
And that's been a stair-step progression because we've been able to put qualified people in a position to manage the day-to-day activities of these golf courses in a professional manner. I really think that if down the road, I'm trying to add more to the staff, to be honest with you.
well, I think that it's very easy to spend somebody else's money. I mean, the truth of the matter is the residents are paying for all this, okay?
Correct.
And you can say that there's been an increase in revenue
Sure.
over X number of years.
Correct.
Well, I could say that those years ago, whether it was X or Y, the green fees were less money. So as long as you keep increasing the rates, the revenue will go up. And like I said, I'm just going by what I saw on the video last time.
Right.
I didn't know if you said 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Okay. And if it's $50,000 per PGA Pro, I see my time is up. I'd like an extension. If it's $50,000 per pro,
Right.
and you
Okay,
said 4 or
sir,
5.
one second. Committee, would you like him to continue? Okay.
Thank you. If it was 4 or 5, I just think that if you had 3, you could do the exact same number of lessons when you're only doing, was it 200 lessons a year?
Yeah, I would beg to differ on that. So it's the structure that we have, and Stephen Erno's here, we're looking at restructuring a few things over time, and that would be one of the things. But my encouragement down the road would be to have more full-time positions available in those 7 golf courses to manage them in a full-time capacity, because we still have opportunity here to increase those revenues. And to tie that into that, the revenues are also tied to rounds of golf. And so when I mentioned $7.4 million, we were only doing 270,000 rounds at that time. We've done as many as 333,000 rounds under those PGA Golf Pros. Am I saying that they're all responsible for that? No. But they manage the tee sheet, they manage their staff. It's just been a wonderful experience to see them grow and see the community grow in golf.
I'm not disputing a single thing that you're saying. I'm just saying that when I ran my pharmacies,
Sure.
if I went to my supervisor and I said, you know what, I'd like to have 2 or 3 more pharmacists here. And they would say to me, you could have 3 more technicians, but you can't have pharmacists.
Sure.
You know, because everything costs.
Sure.
Everything.
Yeah.
Okay. And I remember when, was it Peter? What was his name?
Pete Roberto.
Pete, you know, Pebblebrook ran fine. Now you may disagree, and that's okay. You know, I just think that there are 2 ways to increase a bottom line very easily.
Very much
You
so.
can increase costs, you know, in terms of fees, or you can decrease payroll. Those are the easiest.
Right.
Okay, and you got to pick one of them.
Right.
That's all.
And I'll put it in perspective in Todd's world. Todd is short-staffed, and the courses are still in wonderful shape.
No
but it's
question.
just a matter of time, being short-staffed, that's going to degrade on itself.
Correct.
So it's the same situation as if you don't have a fully functional staff, those things are going to turn the corner and actually go backwards, and that's not where we want to go.
I agree, but I'm just looking at the only number that I was
Sure.
focused on was $8,000 in lessons,
Yeah,
and that's like $2,400 coming to the community.
sure.
That's,
Okay, fair enough.
All righty, thank you very much, Pat, thank you.
You bet.
oh, I got one other thing.
Okay,
What is happening with this Notify program?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
because I don't think that was discussed at the last meeting.
We have made arrangements with a third party. It's a software company, and we're using it over at Grandview exclusively. It's Notify, which is basically a automated wait list for golfers. You put in a preference. Hey, I usually play on a Saturday from 10 to noon. I see that they're all full at Grandview. I didn't get that tee time. When one becomes available, because an email gets sent out to all those playing a couple days ahead of time and saying, hey, are you sure you're going to be playing that day? No, I want to cancel. Boom. Now it sends you an email saying, now that tee time's available.
Okay, and when everyone gets that, let's say, because for Twilight Card, everybody puts in 1:30.
Okay.
Okay, so is everybody going to be calling the call center?
Does everybody know to be calling
Well,
the
will
call
they
center?
call the call center? Because before you were saying that the call center is down, so now will call center volume go up? And even if it balances out in terms of the payroll, what will this Notify program cost if we decide to implement it? Because now I believe it's just a test run?
Correct.
Okay, what will the cost of that be?
It's $5,000 fee for each golf course.
Okay, so look at another $35,000 in expenses.
If we see if it's successful. But the point is, yeah, if we only make $35,000 in last minute reservations, it's not worth the effort.
Okay.
But if it's triple that, it would be well worth the effort.
Okay, so a decision hasn't been made as to whether we're gonna buy this or not.
Oh, no,
Okay, and is that $35,000 gonna be an annual cost?
correct.
Okay.
For
So
all
keep in
7 golf-
mind, that's another $35,000 in costs.
Correct.
Okay.
Rudy, can I just ask Pat, on the Notify, I read where it came out, but is it on the website? You sign up? How do you access that?
You know, that's a good question. Kyle, do you know how that was?
Yeah, if you go to the Grandview website, there's a little widget on the bottom that will pop up, and you can add to the wait list there right on the Grandview site right now. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's kind of integrated in the website. So there's a little widget down there that will pop up, and you can like add to the wait list, or you can ask questions, that type of thing.
Just one other thing, Pat, that's for anybody. I mean, that's not just if you signed up for Grandview and you got rejected.
Correct. It's just for the Grandview
People-
Golf Course.
Yeah, but you actually go in and sign up and then you get a notification even if you didn't want to play that course.
Correct.
Right.
It's just a reminder that,
Got
hey, your preference is available. Do you want to play or not?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one comment online, so don't sit down yet.
Sure.
Yes, this is from Gary Bach. He said, on the resident comment on golf pros, my question is, what else do the golf pros do that give, other than give golf lessons? I think you partially answered that, but.
Yeah. Yeah, the golf pros work, it's a full-time job. It's 40 hours plus a week. They oversee everything from the staff at each facility. So we've got 3 PGA pros boots on the ground. Nibby Musso looks over 3 golf courses. I've got John Smith over 2, Paul Gruza over 2. So they make sure that the inventory, the scheduling, all the supplies that are needed, the carts, everything that goes along with driving range that's part of running a golf course is looked after on a daily basis. Again, it's a 70-hour-a-week operation at each facility. So I've got basically with Nibby, I've got a third of an employee at 3 golf courses. So it's really, right now, it's really taxing them this time of year, but yeah, they stay busy, training, working our special events. I think you see all of them if you're out there playing. I'm hoping that you see everybody. Just a good group of guys that really put a great effort forward to make this community a great golf community.
All righty, thank you, Pat. We'll move on to 3.02, Todd Patty. It's going to talk to us about water usage mostly.
Yeah, a little bit of water usage. Just a short report today on our annual water usage, and then I put together some dates for field days this spring on some of the golf courses, and I'll go over those. And then a little bit later on, under new business, capital budget review, items over 50,000. So our annual water usage for 2025, I'm really proud of this. I really am, and you'll see why in a minute. But we ended up 434 acre feet under our allotment this year, and that is an all-time low. I went back to the records, and I couldn't find anything less than that. So really a great job. A lot of that has to do with the projects, the Echo Mesa, the Grandview project, our shoreline projects, and you know, I've talked about this before, but I think all those are adding up and it's helping us save water. And so here, I think you've seen this before, but starting back in 2010, we were under the third management plan. And you can see ever since 2013, we've actually managed to stay under our allotment for 13 years in a row, so that's pretty good. And again, as I mentioned, in 2025, that was an all-time low. Even you see the rainfall at 7.13, so we did have a lot of rainfall, but still, I think we managed our water very well. Third management plan was 3991, and so then we entered the fourth management plan in 2023, which reduced our allotments by 94 acre feet, and then the fifth management plan, which rolled out in 2025, reduced it by another 34 acre feet, so a total of 128 acre feet that we've lost over this time period. So again, I think the projects that we've completed over the years, the water management we have in place, I think all leads to this. So, you know, there's some talk about maybe a sixth management plan coming out at some point that's going to reduce our allotments even further. So if that happens, I'm still confident that we're going to be able to stay under a conservation allotment. You know, I was doing some research on groundwater and golf courses in Arizona, and they mentioned that 30 to 50% of golf courses that are on groundwater are over their allotment each and every year. So again, 13 years in a row that we're under a conservation allotment. So there's a lot. All right, and then our golf maintenance days, field days. These are course closures in April. It's our aerification of greens and fairways closures. And so April 16th and the 20th at Pebblebrook, Echo Mesa 23rd and 27th, and then May 28th, June 1st at Pebblebrook again. So this is to kind of review our aerification of greens and fairways, transition management. That's usually right around that time, so you can see what we do to encourage Bermuda grass growth and how we kind of get rid of the winter ryegrass. And then Tiff-Tuff Bermuda grass update on number 9 fairway at Echo Mesa. At that time, I think it's going to be breaking dormancy. It's going to start growing again. I think you'll be real pleased with the results of that fairway. And that is my report.
Committee, any questions for Todd?
I just have a question about this Tiff-Tuff turf. So it's dormant right now?
It's semi-dormant. You know, we've had a real mild winter, so like the other Bermuda, it hasn't gone completely off color or completely
So
dormant. But
every year, the snowbirds and the winter people playing are gonna play on hard pan, non-growing fairway.
right.
And then us that are so lucky to live here all year round are gonna have beautiful fairway in the summer. Is that what's gonna happen?
Yes. Yeah.
So you're gonna redo Stardust in 2027, the whole course, Tiff-Tuff turf. So we're gonna play all winter on Stardust, rock hard, no grass.
For the first year, if we decide to go with that, and still we still have a ways to go. And this is why I did one fairway only. I didn't do the whole golf course over at Echo Mesa because I wanted to get feedback from our members. Is this something you like? At some point, we've got to change out the grass. It's common Bermuda grass. It's old. It's tired. It takes a lot of work to maintain it. And it shouldn't be that hard. So we've got to eventually get rid of that common Bermuda grass and change it over to something, whether it's Tiff-Tuff 419 or 328, one of those varieties. So that was the reason just to do that number 9 fairway is to get the feedback and see. Now
It
we
hasn't
can
been very positive. I'm
Okay,
just,
yeah, I'm getting mixed reviews. Some people like it. I think, you know, I've played golf all my life. I'd love to play off that fairway. I really would. You get extra roll and everything. Now, next year, we can overseed that. So it doesn't mean we don't ever overseed it. It's just, rule of thumb is whenever you plant grass, regardless of what it is, you do not overseed it the first year because you do so much damage. So if we decide we want to do that, it would just be 1 year, and then we can go ahead and overseed if we want to. You know, the real feature with this grass, it does say conserve water. You'd conserve more water if you didn't overseed it, but even in the summertime, it uses less water than the other Bermuda grasses. And that's really the whole, you know, it's two things. You want to conserve water, but you also want to have a playable surface out there for the members as well. So, but we still, you know, what you see out there on number 9 Fairway, that's only 5 months since it's completely filled in. It's a short time. You know, in April, May, definitely June, when you go out there and look at that, you say, wow, this is better than any of the other fairways. It is a good turf. It really is. So I think it's just going to take time. But I did plug that into the Stardust project. That doesn't mean that we're going to do it. We still have a whole year to go to decide whether that's the grass for us or not. But again, it goes back to the common Bermuda grass. It's all, we've got to change that out sometime. It's like everything else. It has a useful life. It has to be changed out. So this is one option, the Tiftuff. Like I said, there's some other grasses that we could use, but we've got a ways to go. We got a whole year. You know, when I was over there, I walked that whole fairway on Saturday, and I think it's right where it should be. I really do. I didn't see any car traffic. I didn't see any real heavy areas where cars are going. It was a consistent all the way through, and I know it's matted down. And if we were to overseed that fairway, I don't think we'd hear anything. They'd say, "Oh, this is great." But again, you don't want to overseed after the first year. You just don't want to do that.
Yeah, Todd, if we
Yes.
were to cycle ahead a year from now, would it be as matted as it is now, or I'm just trying to project out here?
No, I think in time, not to get too technical, but we need to build up some organic matter in those fairways, and we don't have that. There's no thatch layer because it's so new, but over time you have that. If you go over to like Trail Ridge and Deer Valley, you know, in the summer, it's like real spongy. It's going to be like that too. We'd have to manage it to a certain level. But right now, it's just, yeah, it's beat down. It's like the carpet here in the social or lecture hall, I'm sorry. So in time, it's going to improve. It really is. So, but we still have a ways to go before we get to 2027 over at Stardust. But we need to think about changing out the grass, and then also at Pebblebrook too. And then eventually, if that works, we'd need to go back to Echo Mesa and finish those fairways, and then over to Grandview. Now, Desert Trails, Trail Ridge, and Deer Valley, they have what's called 328. And so that is an improved variety of Bermuda grass. So when the time comes, I don't know if we need to change those out. I think it's a good playing surface, and I think it's going to be fine.
Okay, with no more questions, any of our residents, questions? Yes, sir, please come to the microphone.
Yeah, Tim Walker, 111748. You talked about the water management plan or whatever. You said we're in compliance totally. All of these other courses across Arizona that are not in compliance, is there any penalties to those people? I mean, is anybody doing anything about them getting them into compliance?
Yeah, I would think so. If you continue to go over your allotment, there's got to be some fine or some penalty doing that. I don't know which golf courses. They didn't list those golf courses, and I don't know exactly what the fine would be, but I would think so with ADW.
So someone could just pay a fine and continue to be over?
Yeah, I think at that time, or they come in and they tell you what you're going to overseed. I know that happens. So they'll step in if you continue to go over your allotment. I'm sure but I don't have specific golf courses or like that. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Todd. We have no questions online. We'll move to 3.03, our financial review with Mr. Cliff Swan.
Well, Todd, when you're 10 years from now, when you're here, you can advise us on those other golf courses. Thank you. You're not going anywhere. You're not allowed. All right. So we got our November financial statement. We're going to present that today and talk a little bit about how we're doing financially and where we're at and what we can expect for the rest of the year. Currently, for the month of November, compared to budget, we were off from our budget by $100,000 in revenue. We had a lot of rain that really, decreased our golf rounds, which decreased our foot traffic and decreased our merchandise and food and beverage. And unfortunately, when rain happens, it's great for utilities, but horrible for golf. So, but it's still not bad for the month on $3 million in revenue. It's not a huge insurmountable number, but it unfortunately took us back on our revenue structure for the year so far through November. But if you look at the golf rounds themselves, year to date, after the month of November, and you'll see that our golf rounds are down year to date by 713 rounds. I'm looking at this spreadsheet, and this total rounds number is incorrect. I just saw that. Sorry about that, but that is the round difference between the budget, 713 rounds. We were actually up in rounds before November over budget, but looking at the prior year, we're pretty much right on with prior year. Again, with that decrease in rounds, even though we put an increase in our fees with 713 rounds behind prior year, we're still on par with revenue, but unfortunately, the additional budgeted revenue, we did not foresee that. So looking at the golf cart revenue, we present the change in the revenue, and these are our different golf card holder types. And when you look at these golf card holders, we're up 2% year to date through November. Unlimited card revenue for the limited card itself is up 5%. Twilight card is up 23%, our two most popular cards, I would say. But the other two have come down a little bit, unfortunately. Oops. Now, looking at the greens fee that our members pay. So some members have a card, but they still have to pay a greens fee. And if you look at the greens fee revenue, we're down 22,000 for the year. Fortunately, we got that non-member greens fee that's a little bit up, which is great. And that was due to the fee increase because the rounds are about even year over year for non-member golf. But the revenue's up because of the fee increase we put in on those rounds. But overall, 22,000 down in greens fee revenue for 3% decrease year over year. Now, looking at our golf fees with our golf rounds, obviously they flow with our golf rounds. And as we work into November through April, that's our highest golf fee time period that we collect. And that goes right in line with the golf rounds that are played. So let's switch over to the expenses. If we look at our year-to-date expenses in November year-to-date, we're down $595,000, or we're favorable $595,000. A couple of things to keep in mind here. Landscape maintenance, we talked about this in October. We have a very large positive variance in there because in the prior year, we had purchased a large chemical order to the tune of $230,000 to do a bulk purchase and take advantage. It actually saved us quite a bit of coin, around 60, 70,000, I believe. And this year, those chemicals are not available to buy in bulk purchase. So stay tuned, because that landscape maintenance line item that positive variance will start to decrease as we work through the year. But they're still pretty tight on the chemicals. I was talking to Todd. Todd, when do you anticipate, is there a bulk purchase in the future, or do you just anticipate spending this down as we work throughout the year?
I think we're just gonna spend this, we budgeted that for, I believe it was the month of December, and of course, they didn't have the product in the inventory. So we'll probably see some of that coming in January and February.
Okay. Yeah. So it's budgeted for still. It'll be there when we need it to purchase it. I know you're struggling with weeds right now, so we're definitely going to be spending chemicals and such.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Looking at the utilities, like I said, it's great for utilities when it's raining because the pumps aren't running. So we've got a nice positive variance in utilities. And then wages and benefits and taxes, we had some pretty significant turnover to start the year this year, in the first quarter of this year in our golf maintenance department. As Pat showed earlier, we have some key positions that are available right now on the operations side, and that's creating a positive variance in our wages, benefits, and taxes. But we'll get those. We've made some strides on the golf maintenance side. We're continuing to work there, and we'll get those positions filled. But the nice thing is it's offsetting the lack in revenue from the lack in rounds. Overall, 595 favorable on the expense structure compared to budget. Compared to prior year, 288,000 favorable. Again, the largest piece of that is the golf maintenance, which is the landscape maintenance, which is going to be the chemicals and fertilizers. You'll see the repairs and maintenance is a little over budget or over prior year because we're having to contract some of that work out that the employees that we didn't have hired on the maintenance side. We had to contract some of that work out to get it done on the golf courses. So this is what this is the trending for our wages and benefits. It's the largest expense we have. Pat, how many employees do you have?
143.
We have 143 employees. We have about 7 employees per golf course. How many of those are full-time? 10. We have 10 full-time employees for 7 golf courses that are open 70 hours a week. Okay, point that out. Okay, so looking at the other expenses, you see the big spike in August through November because that's overseeding and time period, and there's just a lot of expenses that we're doing that are non-payroll related, also payroll related, but there's a lot of expenses that we go through in that first half of the year to prepare our golf courses for the haymaking season, which is what we are in right now. Unfortunately, it's raining today, so we're not making much hay, but we are positioned very well. So overall, 495,000, pretty good through the first 5 months of the year. Keeping in mind that roughly 220 of that is just on the come. That's going to happen down the road, okay, on those fertilizers and chemicals, but still not bad. And then compared to prior year, 280 favorable. So pretty much right on with prior year when you factor in the chemicals that we bought last year versus didn't buy this year. And I'm optimistic about our golf rounds as we move through the spring. The weather can hold up and rain at night. It'd be awesome. But I'm very confident about that. So that concludes my financial presentation.
Any questions from the committee? Anyone in the audience? Anything online? Okay, would you like to go into that next presentation at all?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bring up the CFO golf report. Is that the one you're referring to? Okay.
Rudy, can I just make a comment? I'm the one that requested this.
Okay.
So, and just going through it fairly quick, but I thought there was a lot of good information and data that the committee doesn't normally see that might begin to have you look at some things a little bit differently or ponder a question. So I appreciate it.
Sure. Can you scroll? Oh, you're presenting this? So basically this report gives a rundown, a more detailed rundown of our operations at our golf courses. What happens with our, not only our rounds, but our round types, those golf card types we talked about earlier, how many golf cards we have, how many rounds are tied to those golf cards, how many rounds are tied to each course. There's a lot of great data on here. We present this CFO report as part of our monthly reporting package. It's posted on the website. So when you go on the website to access the monthly financials, there's a financial packet. One of the things in that packet is this report for each month.
And this is a good example of just, again, I'll try to not comment too much. Go back one there.
Oh, sure, yeah. And
If you
I'm here
look
to
at-
just answer questions,
Yeah,
really.
sure.
I didn't really have a
If you
presentation.
look at, I don't know, it says 26 unlimited cards sold this year, prior year, we tend to see the 16%. And you've heard me say, what are the numbers? Because 16% of a higher number is much different than 5 cards. So that's why I thought this was important to show, to put it in context.
Okay. Am I just rolling through this? Is that, okay, sure. Okay, so this report is the golf fees that we collect, and it's by course, and then there's a breakdown, yearly breakdown, and this is for through the month of November, and then there's an average golf fee per member type in this report as well. So you can see our guests are paying the most per round at $68. If you look down here at this pointer's not working. If you look down at the far left-hand corner, you can see that how much our average rates have gone up over the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years by our different golf types. So we got guest, public, member, and employee. And then this gives you a picture of by course. A lot of great data on here. What I would say is that this wouldn't be a report we'd present monthly in a golf committee meeting because there's so much data on here. This is a report that you ingest and come to the golf committee with questions on. Operational questions for Pat, maybe for Todd on the maintenance side, financial questions for me. But there's so much data on this report. That's why we don't present this report, but this is a great report that's out there. And this report has been out there since I've been here. I don't know how many years before, and I've been here for 5 years, almost 5 years. So there's a lot of great historical data that's also posted on the website. Okay. This one's more tied to golf rounds by player type. So you can see who has the most rounds. Obviously, our members are going to have the most rounds, but you can see who's playing here and how much revenue they generate. This report here has our rounds by player. It's just another way to consume that data.
Just a comment on that one.
Yeah.
I find it curious that it's just 1K, 1K, 1K. Yet, is this based on the type of player? So we haven't increased public play, or how am I reading this?
So the total round. This is the total rounds by player type. So
It doesn't make sense that it would be exactly the same.
This is for the month, I believe.
For just
For the month of
month
November.
of November. But
Yeah.
still, that's kind of,
Well, it's rounding too, so
oh yeah, you guys
Yeah.
round.
Huh?
You guys round.
Well, sure.
Round up or round down.
7 golf courses, 320,000
Yeah, got
rounds
it.
a year. Yeah,
But
we do round.
it's, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I would say that this one probably isn't one of the more useful slides, but there's plenty of useful ones in here. 53% of our rounds come from our regulation courses, which is, I was surprised to see that 47 actually comes from our executive courses. That's, yeah, good stuff. This is data tied to our cards, so our golf card holders, and you can see how those have trended for the last 5 years. A lot of great information on here. I mean, just oodles of it. This is the data that Pat looks at with his team, and this is what he looks at with those golf pros and when they sit down to do budgets and look at what they got going on at the courses and how they're going to build the tee sheets and how they're going to talk about group play and how they're going to talk about all these various things. This is all the data they use to make those decisions. And then we switch to year to date. So this is July through November, and then you got the same slides, but from a year to date perspective at each course. So I will say, if you look at the golf rounds themselves, we're through the first 6 months of the year. If you look for the past 5 years, 2021, we had a large spike in golf rounds. We got over 320,000 rounds. 2022, we went up to 333,000 rounds. I believe that was 22. Little dip to 323, then back up to 326, and last year we dipped down to about 315,000 rounds. I did a little exercise, I looked at the first 6 months of the year for each of those years. And we've held pretty steady at 20,000 rounds for non-member golf. Non-member golf for the first 6 months of the year. Very steady. Our member rounds are down. Our distinct golfers from our membership are down. And that's what we're focused on right now. We're focused on how do we build things like our green team? How do we get golfers in the community more involved with golfing? Because that's really what the trend is for us. And we're really trying to do that right now. And you know, that's our focus in the budget. We've got strategic priorities around in our strategic plan. But that's really what we're trying to do right now. Trying to figure out how do we keep that group that we have, which, by the way, is 18% of the golf rounds and 27% of the greens fee revenue. That's what we drive from outside golf. 18% of the rounds, 27% of the revenue.
Cliff, on
Pretty
this.
good. And if you factor in the ancillary stuff, so the driving range, all those cart rentals, those are all going to public golfers. If you factor in all that other revenue, it's closer to 30%. 30% of the revenue driven from 18% of the business. And they're getting scraps most of the time. Yeah. So we've got our work cut out for us. We got to figure out how do we get more golfers to move into this community, and then we got to figure out how to get more golfers that live in this community to golf.
Yes, Cliff,
Yeah.
I'm looking at your bottom right-hand chart, so to speak, on 2026.
Yeah.
Public play is 262, guest is 330. The rates are the same, as I understand it, correct?
Yes.
Right, so that difference would be that likely the guests are playing more in prime time than the public?
Yeah, the guests are booked by our members. So,
That's correct.
So they're
That's good, yeah. You answered my question.
Okay, I'm gonna continue. So our guests are booked by our members. Okay, so a lot of the times they're gonna get preferential tee times because they're getting on the tee sheet earlier from our members because they're getting booked as a guest. So those drive higher golf rates. And then the public, they're just showing up, or they're calling, or they're going to get on the tee sheet after the members have had how long of a crack?
4 days.
The members have had 4 days to look at the tee sheet before the public can look at the tee sheet. So they're going to get rounds maybe in twilight or super twilight or something like that. But yes, yep. Okay. Any other questions?
No, good enough.
Okay.
We'd like to continue. We'll post this every month.
We can attach it every month
Yeah,
to the agenda.
Just
Absolutely.
be a brief overview, but beforehand, if anyone has questions, we'll come to the meeting prepared to ask questions.
Okay.
See someone coming to the microphone? Thank you.
Jerry Bosak, 102-585. I'm just going to bring this up because it goes with the financial conversation we're having. According to ZipRecruiter, the average salary of a golf professional in Arizona is $59,512. And that's for managing one course. So I guess we better give our guys an increase of $9,000 a year if we're going to be competitive.
Okay, no one else from the audience. We have no questions online. Thank you very much, Cliff.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to 4.01, which will be Todd and Pat talking about our capital improvements for this next year.
All right, I'm going to go through our proposed capital for 26, 27 and items over. Well, first of all, I'll go through the color block. The first thing that we have is Pro Shop restroom flooring replacement at Deer Valley for $43,000. Pro Shop patio flooring resurface at Deer Valley for $9,002. Pro Shop improvements and audiovisual displays at Echo Mesa for $44,000. Golf maintenance equipment, and we'll get into a little more detail in a little bit. 24 units at just over $1 million. Golf maintenance utility carts for $274,000. In golf operations, we have rental cart replacement, 19 of those for $142,000, and a player assistant cart for $12,000. Shoreline repair Grandview on hole number 13. This is just going to be a continuation of the riprap that we had with the project over there. So that will all tie in for that lake. We have a tractor replacement for the landscape division for $45,000, irrigation replacement, and then we'll get into a little more detail on that at Stardust in 2027 for $6.7 million. Lake fountain replacement at Stardust on lake number 16 for $12.5. We would do that during the time that we're closed for the project. And then we have a cart path slurry seal at Trail Ridge for $90,000, and we would do that during one of our aerification closures. All right, so our list of 50,000 and over, our proposed list for 50,000 and over. And then we have new capital, 1.3 million. And then replacement and repair for recreation at 2.3, repair and placement for golf and landscape at 8.4. And then we have an allowances for 420,000. So our total capital, proposed capital, is at 12,569. And then, so the new capital items, and Pat, I might have you talk about this if you could.
Okay, what's been proposed is to put our range ball dispensers that have been on the patio. We're looking at relocating 3 of them, Deer Valley, Echo Mesa, and Trail Ridge, get them off the patio, put them out on the tee, similar to what's over at Grandview and Pebblebrook. In order to do that, we need to have some protection, and we're going to retrofit the Pebblebrook and the Grandview in order to protect it from the weather, the sun, all those good things. We've got computer components in there, as well as the irrigation system for the tee does a number on the machine, so we need a building around it. It's an open air building plus a slab plus running the electricity. So that's what the cost is for each of these 3 locations to get them off the patio. So came out of golf committee, and we're looking to try and move it forward and get them out by the tee. Good point. Cliff wanted to remind me, one of the components of this is to have, so with our workforce being what it is, and we've got some great people that work for us. Good example at Grandview, our busiest driving range. Here's a fun fact. That range machine holds 8,300 golf balls. Okay. It takes, on a busy day, we fill that machine at Grandview twice. You've seen our staff with these green baskets. They hold 250 to 300 balls. They fill that with 34 of those every day. So I'm wearing out my staff slowly but surely. So one of the components of this is an elevator that we put the balls in, and it takes it, instead of having to do this 34 plus times, they actually pour them into a bin, and it elevates it to the back end of this machine. And it's a functional deal. It's pretty cool. It's $5,000 at each facility. So it's something that we're trying to protect our staff from injury, wearing them out. The best position in the world is a ball picker at Desert Trails. The worst one is at Grandview. So everybody's trying to work over there to Desert Trails, and we want to try to spread the love here. So it'll be a nice little feature once it's completed. So.
All right, on to golf maintenance and landscape. We have the irrigation system replacement, phase 2, and turf reduction over at Stardust in 2027 for $6.7 million. And then we have the cart path slurry seal Trail Ridge for $90,000, and we're looking at July of 26 for that, for a total of $6.818 million. And then just a little bit of detail to the big irrigation project over at Stardust. You can see that 96 acres of irrigated turf. We're looking at removing 22 acres of grass over there with this project. As you know, we did 45 acres over at Grandview, and we did about 18 acres with the Echo Mesa project that we completed last summer. Turf conversion, back to the TIF Tuff, we're looking at 56 acres throughout the golf course with the TIF Tuff. And again, you know, we still have a ways to go to make that decision, whether that's the turf that we want to go with or not. So still just going to have to wait and see. Architectural fees are in there as irrigation, desert landscape design, project management throughout the whole project, practice facility renovation. This is one that we put in there. The chipping green complex out front, a new practice bunker, and a new enlarged putting green. As you know, that putting green over there is fairly small. What we'd like to do is enlarge that, almost double the size. There's room over there to do that. So we'd enlarge that, similar to what we did over at Pebblebrook a few years back. Now this is, it's home to the green team, so I think it's important and it's nice to have these upgraded practice facilities for the green team. And not only them, but also the members can use these too. You get a lot out of it. Tee leveling and sprigging with TIF Tuff. That is if we decide to go with that, but I think we need to do some tee leveling anyway. And I don't know if we would go with, if we didn't use the TIF Tuff throughout the golf course, we may still use that in the form of sod and still level those tees out. Curbing on holes 1 through 4. You have the homeowners association over there, and they have grass all the way up that left-hand side. So we need to put some curbing to have separation between their grass, their irrigation, and our rock that we're going to put in. And then landscape removal of new trees, replacement trees are also included in that price. And then again, just a little bit of savings, estimated annual savings with the TIF Tuff. Water savings anywhere from 20 to 30% savings. Now that's if we don't overseed, we would have that savings. Electrical savings on the well and distribution pumps, which could be very big. We'd have to go through a year, maybe 2 years to really gather that information and come up with a savings on the electrical side. Ryegrass seed, I know this, it's not a lot, but it's $18,000 if we decided, definitely the first year. If we go with this grass and we don't overseed that first year, we would save $18,000. Fertilizer and chemicals, you're not using that much if you don't overseed. And the other thing too with this new grass, even if we overseed it or during the summer months, it doesn't require as much nitrogen inputs as some of the other Bermuda grass. So there's definitely a savings with that. Labor and overtime, if we're not overseeding, about $8,500. Fuel cost of not having to mow fairways during the winter, $1,600. And then the other one, if we're only overseeding tees and greens, you're going to have a shorter overseed period that you're going to have to be closed. So I worked with Pat on this, and we came up with an increased revenue of about $26,000 if we didn't overseed. Definitely, if we do go with that, and the first year we say, you know, we're not overseeding, you're going to see a savings on that as well. So shorter closure for the overseeding. And then we did work up a little bit of a return on investment of about 10 years on this term, using these numbers. And I think if we have that in place and you go along, you're going to find other savings as well. And then on to our capital equipment replacement plan. Equipment, I mentioned 25 units scheduled for replacement at $1.1 million. This is for all 7 golf courses. I know that's a big number, but you divide that by 7. And this is really consistent with what we've done, our plan over the years to acquire new equipment. And that's been a big help. You know, I go to the golf courses, I go into the maintenance shops, and the mechanics, we're using them out on the golf course. If we're shorthanded, we're having to use them to change cups and mow greens and rake bunkers and that kind of stuff. And so having good running equipment allows us to use them out there. You know, before you go in there and you'd see a mower in the shop for 3 days and they're working on that. You just don't see that anymore. You know, we do our preventative maintenance program, which really helps keep our equipment around for a while. So in that list, we have sprayers, turf fax blowers, top dressers, tractors, and then also greens rollers make up that list. In golf maintenance utility carts, we have 8 of those, and that's strictly in the golf maintenance division, 274,009. And those are the carts that we use, the heavy duty workmen's and also club car, light duty utility carts that we use on a daily basis to get their job done. So our total replacement cost is $1.4 million on that. And the average age of this equipment is 13 years. Average useful life, I ran the numbers on all the equipment that we're looking at replacing, is 12. So we're getting a little bit more out of it than the industry standard. And that equipment list ranges from anywhere from 8 to 29 years. So, and then what we do with our old carts, we'll put those out on, it's called Public Surplus, and we've used that website before to sell those carts. Now, the equipment, we always have the mechanics come over to the equipment that we're getting rid of, and they'll scrap those out. And we're all Toro equipment, so we can use the parts, anything that's good on the equipment that we're getting rid of. They can use that equipment or those parts on other equipment, so they put it in the shop on the shelf for inventory, and there's a savings there. So deferred equipment, we go through this is all on the reserve study. We go through that list every year and we determine what we need to replace. And if there's items on that list and say, you know what, that thing, it's out and running, it's doing a great job, it's hardly in the shop, it doesn't break down. We'll push that out either a year or maybe even 2, okay? And then we'll evaluate it at that time. So we had 10 units this year that we deferred for a total of $241,000. And then we completely eliminated off the reserve study this year 1 pickup truck for the golf maintenance division and 2 utility carts in the landscape division for $67,000. Cliff had mentioned that we do some outsourcing labor, and so that we don't have those employees, so we don't need that many carts now. And so they have their own vehicles, they have their own tools and everything, so that's a big plus for us. All right, and just a summary, the project 6.8, Stardust project taking up a good portion of that. And then equipment replacement plan 25 for 1.4 million. Utility carts, I just talked about, at 274 for a total of $8.2 million for total capital for golf and landscape. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Todd. Any?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's not it. It's not my area, so I wasn't thinking about it. Yeah, I don't care about that. No, in golf operations, we have 19 rental carts up for replacement at $154,000. And this replaces the 2015 rental fleet. And like I mentioned in the budget finance meeting, it's important to have a good running fleet of rental equipment, carts for outside play and also guest play. And that's it.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments for Todd? All these numbers will be seen again as it goes forward into the budget for the governing board to review.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
any of our residents, anything online? Nothing? Okay, thank you. Moving on to 4.02. Back in October, we established a working group. 7 of the 9 policies we reviewed and had no changes. 2 of them, G04, are powered golf vehicles, and G10, non-resident play policy, we had questions about, so we formed a working group, and Mr. Eichner headed it up. They met last month and have completed their work, and here's his results.
Thanks, Rudy. Yes, we met, Vanessa and Julie and I, and with help from Todd and Pat, and we discussed this. We came up and we didn't find that we needed to actually modify or change the policies themselves. The G10 with the public play card, even though they're not used very heavily, according to the report from Cliff, they're a highly profitable product line, so we didn't see any reason to do away with them. G4, we already have out there, you see them posted on all the golf courses and all the restrooms. You see the signs about how many golf carts you can have on the course, et cetera. What you don't see is some specifications and qualifications for the golf carts themselves. So that's what we did change, and so we have now
Can we
came
get
up
that policy up there, please?
Pardon me?
Can we get the policy up?
That's the first item, I think, under 4.02.
That's the current one that no changes were made to, if that's correct, Pat? And then where's the, there it is. Yes, we have the privately owned golf cart policy, which primarily establishes tire size, tread requirement and cart size and seating capacity. So we do have, seems to be newer and fancier carts out on the community quite some time. Some are just used on the streets, but occasionally you see rather large carts out on the golf course. And in talking with Pat and Todd, particularly Todd, he said he's not as concerned about the weight of the vehicle as much as he is the tire size and width and the tread makeup. So this provides some parameters around that.
Okay, thank you. So to be very clear, there'll be no changes to the two policies. And since this working group involved both Pat and Todd, this will be our recommendation to golf operations for, call it a policy or guidelines. And then it's up to you to publish this list and find a way to enforce it. Is that how we're going to do it?
Just to be clear, is this policy in existence now? No, so this is all like red, all new.
Yes, Kathy, this is totally new.
Right, I just wanted to make that correction. So none of this exists now. So therefore, I do have a question on the 8 inches wide. What of our typical, you've got the smaller tire and you have a little bit bigger and then you have the big ones. Is the little bit bigger fit in that 8-inch wide?
Well, it's a minimum of 8 inches.
Oh,
So
I'm
they can
sorry,
be-
I read
they
it the
can be
wrong way.
wider. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're more concerned with the narrow
the
ones.
narrower one,
Yes, yes,
interesting.
yeah.
Oh, okay. I
Because the
didn't
narrow
catch
ones
that.
put more pressure on and leave
Yep.
tracks in the fairways and things, and so.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a comment. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christine Novello. I'm the governing board president. You're titling this as a policy. Is it a policy or is it a rules and reg that is more operational in nature?
Well, I think
Yes,
it's,
so it's,
Good.
not to interfere with what we call governing board policies.
Right.
This is going to be managed by golf operations, so
Like our dress code and
if
so
we want to
forth.
call it guidelines, is anybody happier with that?
Whatever it's called, it's not that's all I wanted to clarify. It's not a new policy.
It's not a policy because.
It's like our dress codes and other things that we
Right,
publish.
it was basically
Thank you.
brought to the committee
Yes,
from
of course.
golf ops and golf maintenance because there were issues and we did not have any guidelines in place. We had the
Understood.
We had our policy, the governing board policy, so this will just supplement that policy.
No, understood. I wanted to clarify. We've had questions in the past, as you know, Director Grom, from residents who confuse our online, some of the procedures and rules and regs and so forth, confuse that with the governing board policy. So I just wanted to clarify and confirm for myself. Thank you.
yes, that's correct. There, no changes to the existing GO4 policy.
Any,
Yeah, I just have a question then, because I agree with you on this one. Should this say privately owned golf cart guidelines? And do we have to bring it back to the committee with that change? Or is that a friendly editorial?
yeah.
Because a
let's-
policy and a
Right,
guideline are
understand.
two pretty major.
So as to not conflict with governing board policies, if everybody gives consensus, we'll just call this guidelines to be implemented by golf operations. Everybody good?
And guidelines don't go to the board?
No.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to 4.03. I would like to start this out with, we've got 3 presentations here. I'd like the third one to come up first. And if Pat, if this is the slides, these are the slides you gave us, just kind of give us a quick overview of how group play currently works.
All right, yes, this was presented last golf committee meeting, and we can kind of jet through this, but just as a refresher for everybody, policy statement G6, a few years ago, 1.3 was added in the highlighted yellow. Group play and organized golf program administered through the golf operations department. The group play program is used to help promote and encourage the playing of golf within the residents of Sun City West. So that was added years ago. Overview of group play. So for those not familiar with group play, real quickly, these are social groups. These are unofficial groups, not like a league or a charter club, but our residents forming groups based on gender, ability, camaraderie, some kind of commonality to them. And we've defined these over the years. Years ago, it was a little bit less structured. So I'm hoping that over the course of these years, we've defined it a little bit better and made it a little bit easier to work with. But groups are 16 to 40 players in size. Open play of approximately 60 minutes between groups on the day of play. All 7 courses will be utilized for group play, so they have to go through a rotation. They can't be all regulation in nature. They've got to touch every golf course. Preferred tee times are just that, preferred. We have a 3-hour window in which we schedule these groups. They might want to say, hey, I want to play at 9 o'clock on a Thursday. Well, they could play as early as 8 and as late as 10 and go from there. And then 10% of the group may be made up of guests, so outside play. And the purpose behind that was to accommodate the residents who might have a family member, a friend, somebody coming in from out of town and want to play, and they can be part of this group rather than not being part of this group. So here's a history overview of group play over the years. The bottom line, you can see the total number of groups, then it's broken out by day. Obviously on Wednesday, we don't do it due to the large men's groups that play double shotguns on the regulations, things of that nature. But you can see that it's fluctuated a little bit. Currently, we have 58 groups of various sizes. Here are the sizes. So on Monday, you can see we've got a 20-player group, 3 24s, 2 28s, 2 32s, a 36, and 8 40s. These are spread over all 7 golf courses. So on Monday, I have 17 groups, somewhere that's going to be playing between first tee time till 1 o'clock. A total of 58 groups with a total number of 1,800 golfers being booked. We put together a slide showing if we put all these group plays, individual groups on the regulation courses only, this is what the numbers look like. On Monday, they would take up 81% of the tee times if they played only on regulation. Years ago, this was one of the exercises we went through to see how that distribution looked. And this is one of the things that caused us to make some changes. So you can see that a couple days out of the week, it's pretty heavy. This is the way it looks today. Since we have all 7 golf courses involved, Monday's the heaviest day with 46%, Thursday and Friday, and then you can see the weekends, and Wednesday and Tuesday are very limited. When it's all said and done, you average it all out, 26% of the tee times are booked prior to the lottery being run. So the breakout of the 58 groups that we have, we've got 41 of them are men, ladies have 11, and mixed co-ed are 10%. I have 6 of these groups that play multiple times a week. Okay? And again, we go back to the non-resident, it's limited to 10%. So if you have a group of 40, 4 players can be from outside the community playing in that group on any particular week.
Pat, can I just
Yes.
go back to that one a second?
Yes.
Please. One more. Just to clarify the gender breakout of the groups, this is the number of groups, not the number of participants. So this is a little bit misleading. Am I correct in that?
Correct.
This is the
'cause
number
they're
of
all-
groups, not the number of participants.
That is correct.
So those numbers would be higher on the male side than the female, and then the mix, I don't know if you know actually mixed numbers or not, but.
Right.
So I think it's a little misleading. I just wanted to make that comment.
Yes. I don't want to say misleading. I just want to say we do have
Misleading.
ladies groups that are 40 in numbers, things of that nature. So
But
I
does the
would,
committee understand the difference?
I would think that would be a fair representation.
Okay.
Okay. So an overview of group play, where we stand today. 26% of our primetime tee times are pre-booked. Many of the residents who play in group play don't use the lottery system to book tee times. They use the group play. No fees are paid for group play program. Group play encourages our residents to play golf. And this is the thing that probably struck home to me more than anything else over the years, is the fact that, case in point, a day like today, I was out on the patio at Pebblebrook, and there was a group of 24 players playing at 11 o'clock, and they were egging each one on to say, we got to go play. We're here. It's raining, but we're going to play. And so about 20 out of the 24 went out and played. So I see that happening with group play. Just an observation. Most of the residents that participate in group play have annual discount cards, and it's over 80%. Okay? So now we're going into the questions that were asked. If you would like to continue this discussion.
We can go to mine.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to go to the first presentation there under 4.03, and Kathy will address those questions.
Yes, so these, I've been on the committee now for 3 years, and group play, when I first moved here 6 years ago, I didn't know group play existed. It's the best kept secret in Sun City West. I think most people agree to that. And then when I found out about it, well, first I was having trouble getting tee times. I do not belong to a league, and I do not belong to a group, so I'm speaking on behalf from that perspective. And I was having trouble getting tee times, particularly what I would call kind of the prime times, the winter time, the heavier play times, or when some courses are closed. So, so I took it upon me to learn more about group play and learned a lot of the stuff, obviously, that Pat has shared with us. This first one is something that Pat does already, and I'm going to recommend that it becomes a policy, not a guideline, so that we just keep that in place. So if we do it now, let's just keep doing it. Let's make it a policy and check that one off. The second one, well, let me jump to the third one. All group play will rotate through all 7 courses, no exceptions. Let me stop there. I have it on decent authority that this doesn't always happen. And I think part of the challenge that we have is we try to please as many groups as we can, whether it's with preferred tee times, whatever. So I think it would be helpful to operations if we just said, all group play will rotate through all 7 courses, no exceptions. If we do that now, that shouldn't be controversial. The second statement on there is preferred times will no longer be accommodated, but simply rotated with all group play being treated the same. So right now, what happens is if, let's say I'm the Lindahl ladies, I'm gonna make that up because I'm not in a group. So I'm the Lindahl ladies and I wanna play, my preferred time is 9 o'clock, and Pat will give me 2 hours, 1 hour on each side. Is that how that works? 1 hour on each side. I'm suggesting that that becomes cumbersome, that becomes extra work to try to spread out a spreadsheet of 68 groups trying to get preferred times. And I'm going to suggest that we just get rid of preferred. You rotate through the different times of the day, because as groups take up the prime times, those of us that aren't in a group get pushed out to the later times. So Pat, do you go through, what time do you end your group play? 12? 1:22, and that's, 1:30 is when it changes, is that
The
correct?
twilight, that's
Yeah.
correct.
So I'm suggesting we eliminate the preferred and then just simply rotate. And then now I'm gonna go back to the second one, and then I wanna go back to the policy. Group play may only have Sun City West members in the group, no member guests. This is a number that's been creeping up over time and time, and member guests, I think, truly were at one time family members. But what's happened now is that we have Portobello, Grand, and likely others that come over as member guests on a regular basis. Pat has indicated he's asked his staff to try to keep that to 10%. I've talked to many starters, and that's impossible, they say, to really monitor that. I'm not trying to debate that, except this is what they have told me. So my suggestion is, if you get on the tee time before any other Sun City West members, why are we letting outside players get access before Sun City West members? This really should be a benefit for our members, not a benefit for outside play. So that was my thoughts coming forward on this one. And then I just want to go back to the policy that's yellow that I submitted. And then I'll let everybody shoot it down. So if we go to the policy 1.0 and you go to the first paragraph, whoops, back up. I just want to read the second sentence there. The system is intended to facilitate the expedient and equitable distribution of available tee times. And that's not happening unless you're in a group. And so there's 1,800 people that get access on the tee time before I even have a shot at it. And that doesn't just seem right for me. So if we're trying to be equitable, I think we can make some adjustments, see what those adjustments may reap or not reap, for that matter, depending on which way the group goes. And then if you scroll down, the yellow highlights are the ones that I just spoke to, okay? And then before we start, I just want to be transparent too. None of this information is available on a tee sheet before you put in your lottery. So you have no idea where the little pockets of 1 hour are. You don't know that. So if we want to be transparent, that would be another suggestion I would make. Put it out there, let everybody see what's already been taken before you even put in your lottery. That's an additional comment. And then one other thing, I just want to poll the committee, just so we're transparent. I'm not in a group, I'm not in a league. I would like each to indicate whether you're in a group, a league, or both.
By league, you mean playing on Wednesday at?
Yeah.
So yes, I'm actually in both, yes.
Okay.
I'm in neither.
I'm in both.
I'm in both. Okay, that's good. Okay, I'm ready for comments.
Okay, I think, yeah, Dave, you have a comment?
Well, I do. I like to comment, I have no problem with the first point on there about the overseeding. I'm just, because it's already being done that way, I always get kind of reluctant to actually go in and change policies when we already have guidelines and procedures in place that do the same thing. So, because I don't know if it would cause any problem for Pat, if couldn't make those, if he needed to make an adjustment in that quickly, you wouldn't be able to do that.
So can we go to there we go. So I went through here, I took Kathy's questions and did some research on my end. So in white is Kathy's, the question at hand, and this is my response in yellow. This has been in place for the past 8 years. It's not part of a policy. We did it out of need, because at one time early on we did have group play during overseed, and it was impossible to get a tee time, to your point, Kathy. So we made that change years ago, and that's where we get heat from the group play people, because they're used to playing, but now they're in the hopper with everybody else. But
Yeah,
it's
so they get a feel for what it's like.
yeah, it's limited inventory, but limited by a large number of tee times. So second question, group play, we did a sample. The sample was 710 rounds. We had 16 guests out of 710 rounds, 2.5%. So from my standpoint, we monitor this quite well, believe it or not. When a group gets out of line, we call it to their attention. For the most part, what we see, and every once in a while, we do have somebody coming from Portobello or maybe Grand that might play a couple weeks in a row, and that's when we start calling them out on it. But all in all, that's a really good number.
Pat, just to be clear though, if somebody comes over to Portobello in a group every single week, 3 times a week, in a group that plays, they can. And they have access to the tee sheet before me.
They can, but it would be mentioned. We would reach out to that group and say, we don't want that.
And what's the consequence?
Consequences, that person can't play.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Rotate through all 7 courses. That's currently done. The only reason that would not happen is if we have another event going on on a golf course. So you saw the list in January where we had Choya, team play. We might have an event going on. If we run that group play schedule and there's a conflict where a group might be wanting to play or needing to play on that group that's already taken, they get bumped and have to go to a second group or a second course. So they might be scheduled for Grandview. We've got Ladies Choya playing on Grandview or some other group. Then we assign them to another golf course because we have to fit them in somewhere. So that's the only way they don't get out of the rotation. The unlimited play card, we haven't.
That was last week.
Yeah, we haven't talked. And then I just wanted to, okay, we'll go through this because we're good there. And then this is talking about tee time interval. Yeah, okay.
I think the question before us is, of your 3, back to the policy, two of the 3 are actually being implemented now by golf operations, correct?
Well, I'm going to debate against Pat and say, I don't think this is totally consistent. I have it on pretty good authority. I've spoken to 4 starters. They say keeping the 10% is really something they can't do. They're just anxious to get the people out and onto the course. And maybe you have a better way, Pat, behind the scenes, that you have data that helps you. That could be true. I don't know that. On the rotation of the courses, I believe that the rotation of the courses is probably 90% accurate. So part of me says, if we're doing this already, and the debate will be, is it a guideline or is it a policy? If we make it a policy, then there are no exceptions. I mean, that's the policy, that's the way we should do it. And I go back to why I brought this up in the first place. Group play is a privilege that people have, 1,800 people have, over the rest of the Sun City West members before anyone else can even get on the tee sheet. And I am vehemently opposed to member guests getting on the tee sheet, which member guests is another way to say public players get on the tee sheet before I do. And that's the end of my argument. So I'll leave it up to the committee to decide.
All right, I do not agree with the no member guest, the slide that Pat showed, 2.5% that was over a year.
100 people
Was
sample.
out of 710.
No, it was a sample,
rounds,
yeah.
Or 10 people. Yeah. Which is, I think, very low. And I think it is, what's the word I'm looking for? Controlled, because the group leader has to submit the tee sheet with the players and their rec numbers. And in there, they'll have maybe 1 member guest. So it's not up to the starter. It's the group leader who is submitting that sheet with all the rec numbers, so they know well in advance. There's not 10 guests playing in a group of 40. There might be 2 or 3. So I do not believe in that. And my other concern is the trend that they want to get more people involved in golf in Sun City West. And you can see that the elderly that first came here are moved along or passed along, unfortunately, and the new people are coming in. They might want to be a guest. They might not have decided to move here yet. And what a better way than introducing them to 39 other amazing players in Sun City West. You cannot take that away. Absolutely not.
There's a comment online from Bryce Stevens, says, personally, I would feel a bit oppressed if I couldn't invite a friend for group play. Just his humble opinion.
I won't repeat, but I will. Group play is a privilege given to outside players that Sun City West other members do not have. It may be a small number. My point is, this is a privilege that, do we want to have a member-to-member challenge, or this is really a member-to-outside play challenge is where I'm coming from, outside public players. We have the ability for somebody to come in here now, go into golf operations if they want to play. They have the family plan, although it can be more than family, as I understand it, because we're not into doing DNA testing, I don't think. So anyway, I appreciate Vanessa's comment and David's comment. I know you will disagree, so.
Well, I would like to add to this, because I'm also, not recently, but in the past, aware of people, groups that had outside people play that might have exceeded the 10%, but they're not going into group play. They get their assigned course, and they get their 8 or 10 tee times, and then people maybe from Grand or Portobello, somebody will go in through the lottery system and get them on there playing close to when these are playing. So they're not coming in through the group play. They're coming in through lottery or tee times.
That way, but they do come through group play. There's no question about that.
Well, they do, but if it's 2.5%,
I know, 2.5% of 1,800.
So Kathy, here's the process for group play. With the 58 groups, we ask that we block their tee times for the amount of players that they have agreed to provide. So if it's a group of 16, 24, whatever it might be, we block those tee times up to 8 to 9 weeks in advance, but they know their schedule. 7 days in advance, they've committed to that number. So if it's a group of 20, they're telling me that they're going to have 20 people. 5 days in advance, they have to give me names. They have to give me names and member numbers and who the member guests are. So we see that. My staff and data entry communicates with Brian or myself and says, hey, this group looks like they're going to have more than 10%. So case in point, you got a group of 16. 10% is 1.6, right? So we say 2. All right, this week they can have 2, next week they can have 1. Let's keep an eye on that and see if they're not exceeding that number very well. So we touch this every day, every week, and we see what's going on. So if anybody's going in and massaging that, it's after the fact, and it's on a very, very, very small basis. It's not being done very often.
Okay. Anything else, Kathy, on that?
I know I'm going to lose.
Okay. Well, I would.
Because I want to go back to the statement that says the system is intended to facilitate the expedient and equitable distribution of available tee times, which does not exist. And one other comment is group play was before you, Pat, 2004 maybe? 2004, folks. Hey, this is today. This is today. That's all. I promise I'll be quiet.
All's good. Okay, are you proposing to change all of this to a policy that goes through the governing board? So if you're going to, how will you proceed to ask us? As a policy to begin with, or separate as a total, or separate individual?
I think I would like to address the three items here, two of which we already do through golf operations, and the outlier here is the no guests, so. And preferred times.
Right.
Okay.
So you're right, other than the preferred times.
So how does the committee feel about having a no guests added to, now, whether we go policy or just golf operations, what's the feeling on no guests?
I disagree if it's people that are coming in actually from the outside of somebody, a family member coming in and playing. I could fully support having somebody from outside the community be a full-time permanent member of a group. I think that's not right. But somebody coming in to play, your son comes in to visit, wants to play with the group, restricting that I would not be in favor.
So we're going to put that one to rest. Guests will still be able to play up to 10%. And golf ops will continue to monitor it to ensure we don't have abuses of that rule. Now, the other two, which are pretty much already in force, do we want to keep those with golf ops, or do we want to change the policy to have these as policies? That would be the question.
So Chair Rudy, rather than come to conclusion, should we hear if there are any comments first or not? Or do we make the decision and then they comment later? I just don't know the
Right,
process.
okay, to be fair, are you, sir, are you going to comment? Yeah, please do.
111748 again. I'm just curious, is when you talk about guests, are 700 number people considered guests?
The 710.
Yeah,
What's their numbers,
yes,
700?
yes, those are guests. Those would be guests.
So you're saying that there are no 700 number of people on group play rosters?
As far as the rosters, I don't see the monitor's roster. We see them
See
as,
what they submit.
yeah, we see them as they are submitted, correct.
So,
And so there are some,
Would-
yes.
yeah, would you say those are guests or are those permanent parts of group play?
The 700 number, is that a tenant?
No.
No,
that's-
it
That's a
would be a,
controlled neighborhood play number, as I remember.
yeah, it's a public player card that gives them
Oh,
access.
that's the public player card. Yeah, that would be,
So
yeah,
they're
that is
non-rec-
someone that's not an owner,
It-
not
it-
an associate, or nor a tenant.
It's not the $1,600 card
Right. It's just-
necessarily. It's somebody that has signed up with the rec centers of Sun City West. So at 4 days in advance, they would have access to book a tee time on the website. So yes, we do have those in our group play.
So it's okay, is what you're saying, to have those in
It's okay up to 10% of the size of your group.
permanent members, or are you talking about just once in a while guests?
We prefer them to be once in a while, not every week.
You do monitor it? Interesting. Okay, while I'm here, well, I better come back later. Different question.
So I think everybody's vote remains the same. We will put the,
I think you put me in a table by myself over here for
I
a
know
reason.
it. So that one we put to bed. The other two, with the exception of the preferred times, the decision, since they are already in place without the preferred times, the decision is, do we keep them under the control of golf operations as guidelines, or do we consider moving them to the policy, the tee times policy?
Since we've been doing it this way for 8 years, I don't see any reason to make it a policy. Policies they're hard to get put on there, and they're really hard to change once you've done them. So that's my experience from my past career.
Correct me if I'm wrong. But if we leave it as it is now, it's gonna be, as a guideline, it's gonna be easy. If we send it to the governing board to make it a policy, it will be more difficult. Am I not? Yes. So I guess my recommendation, mine would say to leave it as a guideline.
I agree. I think the policy is fine the way it is with one guideline, the preferred times for the courses. I don't know what NOR is on there, but anyways. And that would be a guideline. Other than that, this policy, I think, should just stay as it is.
So this policy will remain as is. Thank you, Kathy. Appreciate your inputs. We'll give you a chance to talk about your last item.
Pat, I think you were going to talk about tee times, that, the sheet, the play per hole. If you could bring that one up.
Yes.
So I wanted a discussion, and we've talked about this as a committee, or at least I have, multiple times. In our peak time, and sometimes not even in our peak time, we have tremendous backup on some of the courses. We can have, at least 1 or 2 carts waiting, to play. And I thought last year, Pat, you were going to try, maybe experiment with the executive courses on spreading that time out another minute. I think it's 7 and 8 now, and could we try going to 9? And if you look at the left-hand side, and I wish you had brought up maybe desert, but it doesn't matter. So if you look at the first hole, it takes 12 minutes to play, and we're going out at 7 and 8 minute increments. They can barely get halfway down the course, and you got somebody driving down your back. So that is, to me, what part of the issue is. We start with a backup, and we don't have any ability just to give a little bit of breath in between them. So that's why it's a discussion item. I'm an advocate of, if you look at the surrounding golf courses, most of them are 8 and 9 minutes. I would say that's fair. And then even your nicer courses are 10 minutes. So
Okay, so.
I hope I was accurate in that.
Yeah, so exactly. So what you're looking at is a pace of play chart that was created by the Arizona Golf Association. They came out here to measure how long it would take to play a normal round of golf, 4 people from the white tees on a normal day. 5 minutes in between front and back. That gets you to the total. The point of this, to show this, is as Kathy said, 7 and 8 minute increments of teeing people off. On the left is Echo Mesa. On the right is Grandview. Anywhere you see a par 3 that has 9 minutes or more, you're basically filling the highway faster than you're playing the hole. Now, on a par 4, you should be able to have 2 groups. You'd have somebody out on the green, and then you could tee off. So there's 2 groups on a par 4. So the 12 minutes, the 13 minutes is really not the big player. It's the time on the par 3s. So all of us in the room that have played, when you go to Echo Mesa, where's the first bottleneck? It's number 4. Water's on the right. It's a long hole. 90% of golfers slice. We get a lot of used balls out of that pond. So it does bog down there. But for those of you that have played, what happens on 5T? It evens itself out. You don't probably see that next group until they're putting out on the green. So it ebbs and flows. So those are built-in bottlenecks that we have. Now, the question was, what would happen if we went to a 9 or 10 minute interval? And years ago, we tried it at Stardust, and it didn't go well. And we did it in the summer months. So we gave it a couple months, and there was a couple reasons that we could get into why it didn't go well. And we can talk about that. But up front here, if we moved it to 10 minutes, we lose a number of tee times. So changing a course to 10 minutes, we lose 13 tee times, and that's in prime time. So that would be at 7 in the morning to 1:22. So 13 tee times 4 players times 3 golf courses, we lose 156 players a day. If our average green fee rate, which is what it is on the executive, of $33.46, we would lose $5,220 a day potentially. If we went to a 9 minute interval on the regulation golf courses, you see the 8 tee times lost. Multiply it by 4 players. By the 4 golf courses, we lose 128 rounds at $35.61, which is the average rate, which is $45.58. Now, we don't run at full occupancy. I averaged our occupancy rate for the peak times of the year, November through April, and it worked out to be 73%. So in all fairness, we would knock those revenue numbers down to the ones that you see at the bottom, 38.11 and $33.27 or $7,100 a day. So if you extrapolate it out, this is what you're looking at. So we've got a kind of a conundrum here. By taking away the tee times that we already experience, there's a revenue component to this, and then there's also an availability component to this. So if we're complaining about available tee times, we've just reduced it even further. So I think 7 and 8 has always been a pretty aggressive tee time interval, but our courses are played by 83% of our residents. Who knows what number 1 at Grandview looks like? Deer Valley, Desert Trails, they know these golf courses. It's very easy for them to get around the golf course in a pretty consistent time. I thought it was a good exercise to go through to see all these numbers and see what the ramifications would be. But for me, looking at it from an operations standpoint, yes, my PAs come back to me and say, you know, we had to bog down on 4. Yeah, but it's usually a 5-minute deal, and then on 5, you're zipping past. If we were playing an executive in 4 hours, I would really be concerned, but we're not. We're pretty good about getting around in 3 hours, a little over. Same with the regulation, 4 hours. We're not seeing those 5-hour rounds. Every once in a while we will, but day in and day out, we get around pretty quick. And I just think I'm happy where we are with what we've got. It might be, 8 minutes, might be a player, 9, you're going to start losing money. But the benefits of the 7 and the 8, and the simplest way to say it would be on the hour, on the quarter, on the half hour, easier to remember the tee time, and we're able to get them off and keep them on time. So that's my take on it. Love to hear everybody else's thoughts.
I just think, I know at a lot of the courses, they push the tee times out too early.
Yeah.
And the onus is on the starter to follow the tee sheet. And he can look and he can see, let's see, Echo Mesa number 1. He can see that 4 little old ladies are struggling down that. Don't send the next group out until they're on the green. I really think that I've been pushed so many times. I'm like, I got 8 minutes still before it's my tee time. And one more thought process. Do you think it would, I know it costs more money, but would it be a little bit more helpful in the busy periods in the summer for a couple of hours to have a PA out there to get people moving? Because there are no PAs in the summer.
Correct.
And yeah, we all know how that goes.
Yeah, that's something to consider. We'd love to have it. We've also talked about it from a heat standpoint. If somebody goes down out there, there's nobody out there to really help from that standpoint. And here's a great example. Grandview number 1. A lot of times it's habitual for the group to hit off number 1, and as soon as the group crosses the cart path, they're teeing it up for the next group. And the thing that happens is when that happens consistently over group after group, where's the backup? It's always going to be on 3T. Because 3 is a good par 3, long, water on the right. So to your point, Vanessa, yes, we need to do a better job of making sure we keep to the 7 and 8 minutes. If that 8 minutes gets that group on number 1 at Grandview putting, so be it. You either wait at the clubhouse for a few minutes or you're going to wait on 3 tee box. So pick where you're going to wait.
I've seen some improvement in that, and I understand what Vanessa's saying, but it used to be that if the course was clearing up a little bit and you're 10 minutes ahead, they just call you to the tee box. Yeah. And now I hear them, hey, if your group is ready and would like to tee off early, go ahead. If you don't, you can wait to your time. And so I've seen an improvement in communication with that.
Absolutely, we're getting better.
Yeah, I'll just make one other comment. I appreciate the comments because I think they're good comments. And I do have to say I have seen an improvement. Yeah. So I bring this up simply because this is how we always do it and we always want to keep it the same. So lost revenue is not lost on me. And so being the little chat GPT person that I am, and ran some numbers. There's ways you can close these gaps by looking at heavy play times, January, February, March, maybe increase the public play amount more, maybe increase the member play amount more a little bit. So there's a lot of options to close that gap significantly. Now, you don't want to make the member play that they'll quit playing here. I understand that. There's a balance there. But we do have strong outside play. So that's my only comment on that. This was a discussion item, and I wanted to bring it up.
Okay. Item discussed. Any other comments? Any of our residents? Do we have? Okay, seeing.
You know, we can go to the.
Sir, please come to the microphone. Thank you.
My name is Merle Levick, 62242. On the weaker players, we encourage them to go to the green tees partially, like the par 4 courses. There's 2 par 5s on the front, 2 on the back, so we give them 8. The 2 hardest par 4s, the 2 hardest par 4s on each side, so you get 4 of them. And that speeds up play just by doing that.
Right. Thanks for mentioning that, Mr. Levick. Also, I'll mention that out of the 58 groups that we have, we've got 3 or 4 of them that are executives exclusively. Age, mobility reasons, they just stick. And every week they play on an executive. So that helps us out as well. So.
Just a second, are you talking about group play?
I am.
Which is just counter to what we discussed, Pat. You're not rotating through.
We do, but to the 3 executive golf courses. And the executive golf courses are not as high demand, so that's why we accommodate them.
Julie, please.
Yeah, I do have one comment to make. I want to make a point of saying, for this committee, Kathy has asked many times questions. She wants answers. I appreciate that, because that's what our committee is to do. So I just want to, as a committee member, say thank you for bringing it up for us to discuss it. It might not have gone the way maybe we all wanted it to have gone, but if we didn't have somebody bring it up, we wouldn't be talking about it. That's all.
Okay, with that in mind, I don't see a need for further discussion. Oh, yes, sir.
One 748. Just had a thought. We have a huge problem with filling tee times between 12 and 1:30. And it seems to me it's year round, possibly not during overseas, I guess, but have you ever looked at taking all of the quote preferred people that you put ahead of the rest of the community and slot them in? Have you ever thought of widening that gap? I notice on your guidelines you have 1 hour each way, but why don't you say 8 o'clock to 1:30? We can put you, we'll try to accommodate you as close as we can, but slide some of those into up to 1 o'clock. Then you'll fill your slots. But it's been brought up over and over and over again, and I've never seen a solution to it. So just for many purposes. The other question I had was on your policy, G06. It's got the general manager will develop and recommend the governing board such rules and procedures as are necessary to properly administer the tee time reservation system. Is that something you do as a general manager? Oh, okay. I was just curious. I didn't think you were with that. So all of these rules, it says on your website, they're all available, but it says go to the website and find them. I can't find them. And maybe that's the other gentleman over here to tell me how to get them. Because if they're not easily accessible, this morning I tried again. I went onto your website, into the search, and I typed in that exact word. Governing board rules for golf hops or whatever, and it brings up a whole bunch of stuff. But it talks about charter clubs, it doesn't talk about group play or any other rules. And I find it kind of, continue, okay. Hard to distinguish between guidelines, rules, policies, etc., right? It's confusing what is what and who makes that decision. So, well, that's not gonna do me any good on your phone.
I know, I'll send you
And Tim, to answer your, it slows down when we get closer to that price break at twilight. It's always about 30 minutes or so. In my experience has been wherever you put that price break or that reduction, you're always going to have a half hour lag.
2 o'clock and then it was 12:30.
Yeah, and that's all.
I'm saying is take all your preferred players, rotate them off, fill all the space.
Yeah.
And then you won't have a problem. Then you got, everybody's got equal opportunity at other.
Right. Okay.
But since you're making per customer, putting them in.
Absolutely. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Before we close the meeting, any additional comments? Anyone on the committee? Anyone in the audience? Anything online? Nothing. Okay. With that, that is a end of all of our business items, and our next meeting will be on a Thursday, February 12th, 1:30 p.m. And with that, it's 3:27. We'll call this meeting adjourned. Thank you.